By the way, when I started shooting my video today, this ad flashed up on my timeline. Why? I have no idea. Gamer Singles UK. Consider that your free plug, or in this case, butt plug. Meet gamers, questers, and cosplayers. Vibe over games. I wonder what would happen if I clicked on the 3 dots, where it would actually take me to. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to satisfy my own curiosity. And of course, they have to take a random, probably AI generated model in this case, in the picture, sat down at her desk. Doesn't even have a gaming mouse. It looks like she's doing figures on a spreadsheet. Like, who the hell are you fooling? You know what's really funny as well? Like, in the background of this picture, there is no background. It looks like a torture chamber from Hostel, you know, that film from Eli Roth. And in fact, you don't even have any like gaming trophies or Funko Pops, nothing of the sort. So yeah, beware. Gamer Singles UK. We don't need no trans inclusion.
Eat lightning and shit thunder with Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog.
You know, it's really funny. Over the last few weeks, I feel like Sir Galahad defending the honor of Miss Stellar Blade herself, aka Eve. And of course, she's a damsel who's not in distress. She is definitely more than capable of beating up bad guys and killing off the nativas, which I'll get back to later on. Very strangely pronounced name on something that, when we look at it, is called native. But what's not native to you and me is the absolute, I wouldn't say hate that this game is getting at the moment, more controversial, but of course that's a very overused word these days. Of course, I just sit back and chuckle at all of this because back in my day I would actually go out and purposely buy Dead or Alive volleyball because yes, I admired the jiggy physics of the rather attractive Dead or Alive characters. But of course now this does bring me to Crystal Dynamics, a company that has butchered the look of Lara Croft for many years now. And of course, remember this face? The face of Leon Kennedy, as people liked to point out to me. And I don't want to see it. Every time I look at Resident Evil 4, I can't unsee Mr. Kennedy in this ridiculous new variant of the Lara Croft Tomb Raider outfit. I mean, come on.
No, 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 no.
She's got unified breasts. I mean, it's like Rogue's new design in X-Men 97, where she too has a uni boob. Who ever heard of that? Again, stumpy thighs, stumpy legs, stumpy forearms. And as Melanie Mack had pointed out, a rather short, mannish forehead. And of course, thanks to Melanie's coverage of this whole debacle featuring Lara Croft, what have they done now, Crystal Dynamics? They've backpedaled. This is not actually the final depiction of Lara, where this is just a concept art. But really, if it's concept art, why are you putting it out for people to see? It's ridiculous. Miss Mac also goes into a DM that was shared publicly before it was a DM about the fact that the Embracer Group, the people that have acquired Crystal Dynamics and other gaming studios, have ordered Crystal Dynamics not to go woke with their next Lara Croft video game, which actually makes a lot of sense. Of course, it's just a rumor, so take a grain of salt and sprinkle it on that beautiful beefsteak before you shovel it down your throat. So that remains to be seen. Embracer Group are just trying to cover their own backs at the moment. It looks like they can't handle the video gaming space, which at this moment in time, folks, makes way more money than Hollywood does. Is it any wonder now that Hollywood are trying to maybe steal some ideas of video gaming and use it for their dying franchise, who knows? On the left side of thinking, Western video gaming and their approach to women, making them look like men, because apparently the trans community wants to see more of that representation in video gaming.
Video game characters are too ugly.
And I say unto you, community, the crazy alphabet mafia mobsters out there, can you imagine, let's pause for a moment here, folks. Can you imagine a world where the mafioso crime families are LGBT? That would be absolutely hilarious. And as a fan of true crime myself, we all know that organized crime is a family business. Your sons, your daughters, your cousins, maybe the exception of a close childhood friend who you want to bring in on the business, that's fine. But can you imagine Tony Soprano as an LGBT flag-waving idiot in a big fritty Ace Ventura ballerina dress walking around the neighborhood extorting money off lenders? It's just not going to work, is it?
This sounds very gay.
You remember those two podgy British chicks on Karim Jovian's video 2 weeks ago where they're talking about the over-sexualization of Asian women in culture? Those chicks obviously feel jealous because, again, if you look at British TV in the 70s and the 80s, Caucasian women were being sexualized all over the place, and they loved every single minute of it.
You shouldn't be out of bed.
I hardly ever am.
Of course, you're not the patient, are you?
He's upstairs.
This way, Doctor.
Yeah. What's he got? Trouble with his back?
Well, I wouldn't say it was his back.
I mean, hell, you'd put the television on, you'd watch Sale of the Century, you'd see Carol Ashby in a very short skirt modelling a prize to be won by the contestants. I'd be thinking to myself, why can't I take Miss Ashby home instead? But of course now, these women are not clued up. The same two gullible interviewees of Karim's, because if you know anything, even a smidgen about what Eastern culture is like, I'm talking Hong Kong, Japan, Korea, Indonesia, they always have beautiful women in their entertainment. Sometimes they're objectified, and again, I think that word objectified is a bit weird. I don't know how we refer to humans as objects, because to me, that doesn't actually make any sense. Yes, Jennifer Aniston was in the film called Object of My Affection, but she could have been talking about a dildo or her favorite drinking cup. But I don't know. I digress once again. But of course now, when you look at the argument about ugly female and beautiful female, it's like being a carnivore and being a vegetarian. And, you know, let's just take this one step at a time, folks. On the carnival side, you've got Eastern video gaming. Based female characters, they look gorgeous. And of course, we've got to worship the titties of Miss Eve from Stellar Blade. And on the West, we've got the vegetarian diet with plant-based food. Have you ever tried plant-based food? It's the most disgusting slop I've ever eaten.
Yoga, 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 yoga.
Even my based mum can't stand the stuff, because what do? They have to add more salt to the content, making it even more unpleasurable an experience. Which then brings me to, if you bring out a video game with trans inclusion, what do you think is going to happen to that title? It's going to sink to the bottom of the ocean and get gobbled up by an anglerfish. But of course, the trans community doesn't want to hear that. They want themselves in a video game. I say unto you, alphabet mafia people, make your own video game. Go to an indie developer out there who'll be happy to utilize your likenesses and make a video game out of you. And then come back to us in a few months' time and tell us we didn't buy your game because we're anti-trans people. Another side note about this unified Lara Croft, well, according to Crystal Dynamics, she's going to resemble or have some passing resemblance to British actress and rather still hotty-wotty totty Emily Blunt. But there's a problem there, because if you're basing it on the actress herself, have you sought her permission? Because if for some reason it turns out this unified Lara is actually based on Emily Blunt, she's going to want a percentage. She's going to sue Crystal Dynamics if they've used her face, her image, without her permission. So I cannot wait to see how that turns out. Over on Reddit, well, this is a very interesting conversation. How is everyone feeling about Stellar Blade so far? And at the time of recording this video, this was 5 days ago, and how have people responded? I hold my full thoughts when I fully play it. I am slightly optimistic from what I've seen, but it's this studio's first AAA. I hope it's more like Arkham Asylum and not another Forspoken.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
I've got to send out a bit of a warning here to Shift Up, the developers, because people are asking themselves, is this a Sony game? Well, Sony have funded the game and they're publishing the game, but I'm just fearing that if Stellar Blade does really, really well in terms of sales, they could get gobbled up by Sony, who we know by this stage are very woke now thanks to certain activists within that corporation. So this might be the last time, folks, and this is not hyperbole. This could be an actual fact of life. If the game does really well, Sony Studios buys up Shift Up, which is a very weird alliteration of the words there, and they could go woke with the next Stellar Blade game if that gets greenlit. So that's my biggest concern at the moment. What's going to happen to Shift Up as a developer after this? I think the game will do big gangbusters for sure. You've got to admire the courageousness and the courage and the balls on those Korean developers for bringing out a video game with an attractive woman as its main protagonist. I mean, oh my God, the world is imploding on itself. We're losing our minds over an attractive female video game character with normal physical attributes. Oh my God. Which now does take me to the ESRB rating, and I've got to put on my gamer voice here because you're going to love this bit. And now, on Sale of the Century, Stellar Blade's ESRB rating contains blood splatter effects which occur frequently as enemy creatures are slashed and dismembered. Some cutscenes and battle sequences depict close-up images of impalement, dismemberment, and decapitation. The game depicts some female characters in revealing costumes, deep cleavage, skin-tight, flesh-toned bodysuits, with breasts that jiggle during combat. The word shit appears in the game, and from what that means to me, they only swear once. Everything else is Miss Jiggle, Miss Wiggle, and I am here for it 24/7. Now, I'm going to take myself a very cold shower. Ooh, how Stellar Blade became 2024's most controversial game, according to Den of Geek, who I doubt have actually played a video game in their lives. Yes, and it's the old story again about why the lead character is problematic. Again, they had no problem with 2B's design in Nier Automata, or again, maybe perhaps Bayonetta. And again, I would say that Bayonetta's probably been the strongest influence on Stellar Blade itself, so I'm here for it. Of course, you know I can't escape this article without falling under the bewitching spell of Miss Shin Jae-eun herself, the model whose body, not her face, has been body scanned for our protagonist Eve. And just take a look at these pictures right here of Miss Eun looking, I mean, this woman is 32 years old and she looks this good. Wow. I mean, there is a better picture of her right here. Oh my God, look at that. I mean, that is some kind of a bust. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one. And again, I mentioned in this video about Stellar Blade fighting the Nativas. The actual way it's spelled is natives, but apparently earlier on in the game's development, it was told to Shift Up that if you use the word natives, people are going to think of indigenous humans. Are you shitting me? So if I play Mass Effect 1 to 3, am I going to be offended by colonies and clans because they're deemed native to that planet or to that environment or to that club? It's absolutely nonsensical.
In it and ran with sexualization just isn't okay.
No. I mean, there's a lot of sexualization of Asian women specifically, and that's crazy.
In England, stuff like that wouldn't really happen.
It
like
wouldn't
the
fly.
sexual, no.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a sexist pig on occasion. I don't care. I'm a man who admires the female form, femininity, beauty, lipstick, eyelashes, nose, gorgeous lips, boobs, bums, thighs, and legs. And that's just the best parts of the chicken.
Mambo Italiano.
Female video game characters getting too ugly. It also happened with Aloy.
But honestly, folks, why people are getting in such a tiz about a video game character that no people had taken notice of, but it was thanks to Alex Battaglia on Digital Foundry who took a bit of a issue with that. Him and Audi from that same conglomerate of, well, shall we say, rather based men, headlined by Richie Ledbetter. They've kind of now thrown those two aside, so any future coverage of Stellar Blade, it will be covered by Ollie, John, and Richie, which I think is hilarious, because quite clearly they see the benefits of that game, and I can't blame them, to be honest. But back to our final thought of the day, folks. And yes, we're going to cast our eyes back on the lovely Miss Shin Jae-eun. I mean, what are my thoughts about this? I really hope that Stellar Blade does exceedingly well, like a Kipling's cake, even though those things are very oversaturated with sugar. But right now, folks, we need as much sugar as we can to consume, because the future of video gaming, I think it's still a strong one. I still think we'll get physical copies of games, which is why when Stellar Blade comes out, get yourself a physical copy. Now, is the game going to be great? We don't know. We haven't seen reviews. We haven't seen anything. I will say this much. I've been looking at the bigger video game channels like Jaw Raptor, for example. He made a video about Stellar Blade. What made me laugh is that he's only joining the bandwagon now about that when it's been doing the rounds for the last few weeks. Luke Stevens, Young Yeah, ACG Gaming, when they finally get their review copies, are they going to mention Eve's design as being problematic? I can't wait to see if I'm correct or if they just pass over the obvious cosmetics about the character and just give you an honest review about the video game in question. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed my video today, which I like to call Big Titty Fridays, because we do like some of those on a Friday, don't we, before the weekend comes around. And if I were you, and if you were me, you should come back for the next video.
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Dream of me. I'll make your dreams come true. Everything's possible with me.
Rated M for mature.
Hey!
Play with a friend or play with yourself. Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball. Tecmo. 100% games.
For hot beaches, there's no power greater than X.